Dutch School of Classical Shiatsu. We're back here for the second little basic course we're going to give you. And last time we did something for the nervous system, and I hope it all worked for you. But if you want to give me feedback, please do. This time we're going to look at somebody lying on their back. Lying on the back is usually one of the easiest ways, because not so many people lie very comfortably on their front. And in this case we've shown you what happens for people who have a little bit of back pain. They need to relax the lower back, and here you see the cushions under the knees, which just raise them a bit, and it gives back that more natural feeling of the bending at the hips, which make people feel better, and also quite often for the knees as well. And just being a little bit above the ground, where usually the cold air tends to gather, it also keeps them warmer. It's rather like in the elbow, so you have the same thing at the back of the knee. So what we're going to look at this time is part of why people get anxious and people get their nervous systems all kind of confused, is because they worry too much. And maybe they don't do that like all the time, or they don't think they are, but it's sitting back there. There's issues that we don't think about all the time, but they are a feeling and we have them. And if they are going on a long time with like in the period we've been living in, then those things begin to start to weigh on the functioning of something like the stomach, which is of course for our food, but also our feeling of being at home. And if that happens up there, then the middle part of the body starts getting a little bit upset, shall we say. And because of that, it means the things that accumulate up here, with the stiffnesses and so on, can't get down. So the one thing we like to look at is to go back to real basics of life. And if we take a hand palm, like this, take the middle of it, and then with your safe partner, we're doing safe partners, we find somebody's navel, yeah? And then we want to put the middle of that hand palm, there's a point there, on that navel. So I'm showing you like this, but I'm going to put this back again for the warmth. And then keeping the fingers and the thumb together, so that for your safe partner it feels like one hand, not a hand with a bunch of fingers, you know what I mean? It's much more comfortable. And you hold that there, and what you'll feel is quite a lot. Now when you hold it there, you don't have to push, don't hunch the shoulders, just let it relax, sit up straight. You don't have to do it like me, you can be in any position you want, but I'm used to doing it like this. It's good for the back in the end. And what you'll notice is that one side will feel a bit different to the other. In fact, one side might be more stiff, there's muscles there of course, and fascia, flesh. One might be colder, one might be warmer, and that's your body talking to you. In the Oriental approach to this kind of thing, all of these kind of signals have a meaning which can guide somebody to help somebody else, because it's giving them a message. So where something is a little bit cold relative to on the other side, then that cold probably needs a little bit of warming up. It means there's not much activity there, or there's less activity than the other side, which usually means that things aren't going through at their normal speed. So just keep it very, very light, not too much technical talk. While I'm talking to you, in between, I'm feeling what's happening here, and it's slowly warming up. For those of you who are kind of sensitive, feel the energy, everybody can, but sometimes you need to practice, then you'll also feel that your hand there is having an effect deeper in the body, about that much more, goes a bit further. And if you can feel it, that's really, really nice, because it gives you a sense of being close to someone and satisfaction that you're actually making very real contact. And body contact is something we happen to be missing even in June of 2020 at the moment. We don't know how long So while you do that for a few minutes, it also allows you, not me, I'm talking, to be breathing down here yourself if you can, relaxing, moving so that you get comfortable. It's not a big stiff thing. It's not that you have to do it. You're not building a fence, you're not driving a tractor. You're just working with life energy, and we and the rest of the world call it ki or chi. Yes? And that life energy, of course, being alive is also conscious, so you get a response from what you're feeling with your hand. Okay? Well, when it's warmed up a little bit, then we can find out what happens if we come down with a hand. We go back to where that navel was, navel, and then we want to bring the hand that was here, we're bringing it so that it's just underneath where the navel is, and still keeping the fingers together and keeping it all the way down, and depends on the size of your partner and your hand, of course, and it'll become all the way down and ends up fitting quite well above the pubic bone. And if you hold it there, the first thing you'll notice, because I'm doing it here, but you're going to be doing it at home when you see this, is the temperature difference. And that temperature difference is what we want to correct, shall we say, make more comfortable. It should be warmer down there. And if you let your hand sit there for a little while longer, then you'll find that it will react, it might prickle a bit, you'll feel something. It's obviously not dead, okay? So you leave it like that, and then what we want to do is, if there's something cold around here, it means probably things that should be going all the way down. You know how people get cold feet and cramps and circulation, knees, whatever. Women in a lot of cases more than men, that's just how it is. That's another subject. But so the idea today is to release that. And we're talking about the worrying part, but worry is attached to organs in our body and also our thinking. Sometimes we overthink things. We think too much, and you know how it gets up here? Too hot. Especially if you're sitting behind screens, working from home, just changing a lot of paradigms in your life. You're not contacting people in the same way. And of course, you can do that for a while, but months, it begins to weigh on you. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here to the groin, just below the groin. And on the leg here, we see, I'm going to show you roughly where that is. We have these 4 muscles. That's why they're called quadriceps. Like your biceps, that's a double one, that's in your arm when you do this, you know. And this one is the front. And it's very easy to find, well known, looks good in sports magazines, models doing their thing. And when you find that, what you need to do is, because you're going to be on this side, like me, you take the other hand palm with the same fingers and everything together, and you lean on it. And you're leaning on the outside of the muscle, okay? Outside. So here's this muscle for this lady, but I don't know you at home, so you're going to have to look a little bit, and I'll show you towards the camera. So here's the muscle, and here's the one at the side, and so in between this one and this one, there's some movable room, if it's not too stiff. It can be too stiff, okay? And if it's too stiff, well, you have to do that. So if you're doing this one, I'm going to do it over here, because I can't do that from here, and you can't see me through the back. So I'm coming back up here, I'm curling the hand there, I'm putting this part, the heel, in that space between the big front muscle and the one at the side. And then I'm going to lean on it. So this shoulder comes up a bit for a minute, and I'll put it back, put it down, come up a bit more, make sure it's all looking good. And then all I'm going to do, if you can manage this, you don't have to, is just come up a little bit and lean. So I'm taking the weight with the knees and in my lower belly, and then I'm going to come back again. And in the moment that I do that, I feel already, and I hope you do, a connection between what's going on with this hand over here, because it will change, something will have warmed up or moved. Moving means making heat. Things that don't move are usually cold, right? So you see how that works. The surface of the moon doesn't move very much, so it's very cold. The surface of the sun is exceedingly hot. There's nothing but movement up there. And in the same way, we're a bit like that. So when something doesn't move, it's colder, because moving makes heat. And that's what we want to do. And what we want to move is ki and blood circulation, and lymph. So I'm just holding them now, once we've got it started, a bit like being a plant. And then move one hand palm width down and hold the next one. Now it depends on the size of you and your partner. Don't worry if the shoulder comes up a bit, as long as you don't actually pull it up. Maybe it'll be pushed up there because it's a big leg and a small person or something, right? So just enjoy that, and you'll feel the changes taking place here as well. You just hold it, and what we're doing there actually is a meridian, which is lying quite deep. It's about that much below the surface, so it needs a big needle, so the ki has to penetrate. A big needle if you're doing acupuncture anyway. While we hold that, then we can feel what's happening underneath the hand palm, and that's our kind of antenna that tells us what's going on. So it's really, really nice feeling. And then we can go to the next one and lean on that in the same way. It's not, you don't have to push it into the ground. There are, of course, techniques for that, but that'll come when you've learned a bit more. Because what we want is not only that it's for safe partners, but we want them to be safe doing these techniques too. So start light in the beginning, and the feeling that you generate will be of much greater value to you later than if you only try to do it physically. Okay? Then we come to the knee, and I'm going to have to make a little move soon. I'm not such a big guy. And I'm going to take hold of the whole kneecap, and on the side, the outside of the kneecap is also this stomach meridian, but at the same time my hand position changes because I'm, shall we say, cuddling the kneecap, you could say. That, people really love that because it warms up. And you'll notice mostly kneecaps tend to be a bit cooler than the leg above and below. They're a bit exposed. Okay? The legs are really good here. If your partner has a leg which is like this, you're going to have to turn it in a bit, okay? So that when we get to this part, you can keep this hand here. You can play, do a little game, keep the hand there and keep it still, even while you move. You know, like a kid's game. Just keep it still. So all your moving doesn't disturb your partner's tummy. And then we come underneath the knee, and we're going now down the shin bone. I know shin is also a Japanese and Chinese word, but this case is a bone. So the shin bone. And we're just gripping that, a little bit of a squeeze, not much, and leaning in, no more than your body weight. Don't force anything, because if you do that, you'll cramp, and your ki won't go through you. And you don't want that, you want to feel it. Have the satisfaction. And that'll warm up, and you'll get a message back on that other hand, which is your antenna, like radar. And then a little while later, you just move down one hand width again. And it works very nicely. This is really, really basic stuff, but basic stuff is how people learned in the beginning, and that's why it's basic. So basic means really necessary, really useful, don't forget it. You can always get super complicated later. That's what we all do anyway. So it's good to start with the basic and keep that as your foundation of what you do. Probably in life as well, you know, like breathing. do that, you hold it just long enough until you feel there's a nice reaction. So my safe partner's a bit of her tummy is warming up, so she feels nice and it's beginning to penetrate a bit into the back. All these things you'll learn later. And don't think you have to do 50 years, before you can feel these things. You just have to do it with an easy attitude, a quiet one. And it will reveal itself. These things that are about feelings will reveal themselves. And it'll make you feel really good. Everybody wants to feel good. And a little bit further. So I'm turning this one, you can see that just to make it convenient, it's no big deal. And I'm going to come to the foot. Now the foot has got a whole load of interesting hinges and stuff with the ankle. And we come on to the ankle and there's still on the same, I know we're touching other things, but the essence is to go to the meridian, the channel of the stomach. And as we do that, then this is all still working fine. I just go a little bit further. And now I'm not just leaning on it, I have to kind of hold it because you can just like that. Stretch it a little bit. Can you see that? Just lean onto it, have to stretch it a bit. This is where we're coming down. Have a look here. We've come to this bit. We did this outside of shin bone. And we're coming down to here, right in the middle of the front of the ankle. And we're going down over all these complicated little bones. And we're coming out here, in between the second and third toe. Okay? So you can just think about that, that'll be already enough. Your hand will cover it, but you thinking about it, believe it or not, will tune in. It's a bit like a radio, crystal radio. Okay, so we're down to here, here, here. And I'm going to turn around a bit to make it easier, because I also want to feel what's happening, just what I showed you here, in between the second and third toe towards the end. Just holding here underneath, nothing special. And a big fat thumb, well, a small thumb. All the way down, still keeping that antenna hand, mother hand, you can call it, still. And then the last bit, you just take the toe, and all of it, the finger and thumb on top, and just hold it, and pull it very slightly. Don't try and pull the tongue or tail. Don't pull it off. And you're actually holding it. Look. This is all the way through to the end of that meridian. And all of them points which acupuncturists know very well, and shiatsu people too. And they have an effect. So you might think you're just doing some kind of an exercise, but actually you are having an effect. And in this case, on the stomach. And if you affect the stomach, the nice part about that is you also affect your spleen and sugar, because inside the spleen you have this thing called a pancreas, and in there is where you make the stuff that you do with sugar, with what comes out of the pancreas, okay? Insulin. And seeing that the spleen and the stomach are kind of brother and sister, in one element, as they call it, 5 elements, then the worrying part of the stomach is interesting because the spleen is also about dreaming and thinking. So if you think too much, you're going to get the same thing. Even if it's nice thinking, you get the same kind of thing. And to get that out of your head, anything coming down here is good. Because as soon as you release this, then this part feels like it's kind of less crowded up here. And that's a nice feeling because the stomach meridian starts right here. And if you're into beauty, it's nice if it doesn't accumulate here, especially when you're young, so that when you release all this, it's also coming down from here, and this tightens out and feels better and things move. So it actually has to do with your sight, and it's a typical thing for people who are working in a beauty salon. If they don't know that yet, get more customers. Make them feel good. People need to feel good. Then we come back, and then I don't really do anything much except hold the other hand on top of here, and now this whole part of the underbelly, you could say, I'm just going to rotate it, and not with the clock, please, with the circulation of blood. Your heart takes blood in here, pumps it out there, very simple system, like a central heating, and we're just going to take him down a little bit there, a little bit here. Under here are also the two branches of the stomach meridian, and we're going to go around. We'll keep it flat, slowly. So you're holding it firmly, but don't try and push it. Don't push it down into somebody's back, it's okay. What you really want is that the first couple of inches of flesh moves, but what you really feel, and what your partner may feel, is this enormous increase in circulation, power, presence in that part of your body. It's very important. It's called Tanchen, but the Japanese call it hara. It translates into something like what I am, or what I might be, what I am. There's no real good translation. But here is where you could say all the energy that you store up, not just experiences, by your breathing, by your good times, bad times, whatever, is here. And as long as that's reasonably full, you can get around and have a good time. When it starts getting colder or emptier, then that's probably because the food it's supposed to get is stuck up there somewhere, right? It's not a crazy idea. A plumber would know. So all of you plumbers in Holland, please join this course when it starts. Have some fun with it. You see, I'm in a totally different position now. I'm not spread-legged, I'm just in a simple position where I can relax the shoulders, keep the hands there. The first hand hasn't moved, still connected to the same bit of cloth of the trousers. And I go maybe about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, just taking it round a central point. Okay? And what I want to feel is a column of ki under here moving. Strong stuff. And a lot of what we'll be doing now and in the future will have to do with this life energy, we call it in English, don't we? Levensenergie. It used to be called in Dutch universele levensenergie. Big words, but how many people actually kind of get to feel it? Marvelous phenomenon. And when you've done about 10 times, something like that, then the last thing you can do is let go, slowly. So raise the hand, slowly, don't whip it away, and then just take the hand round a few times, a couple of inches above the surface of the belly, and see if you have some fun with that. It should tickle quite a lot when you're tinkling fingers. It feels like a cushion of some weird jelly underneath, and it's not its key. Anyway, I see that my safe partner isn't actually, frowning or something like that, so I'm pretty sure she's enjoying this. But I really trust this, because if it feels good here, then you don't really have to look at the face. But in the beginning, look at the face. You'll see the face muscles relax, eye muscles, stuff like that. They'll be lying down and feeling better, all just because of this very simple thing. So this is not so much that we've mentioned the hara, okay, and we've mentioned the meridian, and we have the whole leg, and you've learnt a little bit about quadriceps, but what we've done is actually make that feel better. Now, normally I would do both sides, but you're going to do the other side on your own. And the last little bit is I'm going to crawl down to the end here, because after all that, it's all kind of crowded up, and what we want to do is just lift it, just lift the ankle, and just take the support here behind, you see, okay, hold him, no more than that, and I'm just sitting there, and it's next to me, so it's being supported, and I'm not going to pull anything, I'm just going to lean back. Watch what happens to that side of the body. I'm just leaning back, and I take it with me. Not more than that. let it open. Take a few breaths. You'll notice when you've done this with your partner, your safe partner, a few times, they won't be safe anymore because they're going to be dangerous. They're going to start nagging you to do more because they're going to enjoy it. And then you're going to say, "No, it's my turn. Put that video on again," and you do it. Okay? And when you finish with that, you just put it down, leave it, then hold the toes, all the toes. Toes are, they take time. There's so many little bones and stuff here. And a lot of meridians come down here, not just this one, not just the one we were doing. Let it warm up a bit. It's funny how that works. So when you really relax, then of course you don't pump so much blood and so on. It's the key. But you have to allow, this is a universal law, so nobody's going to change it, is that the key that flows through our body, like blood and lymph and so on, takes 23 minutes to make a full circulation. So if they haven't completely warmed up yet, with what you've done on their legs, give them the 20 minutes. By the time, because you started and then you were busy, and then by the time 20 minutes have gone, the first part will already have completed its circulation of the body, and then you get a much better picture of what's going on. And you know, just a tip about that, so it makes sense to you, at the moment a lot of people in the Corona era are testing their clients with an infrared thermometer, so they don't have to touch people at all. That's happening everywhere, and I have one too. And what's interesting is they tell you in the instructions with that thing, if you haven't read them yet, and you should do that with an ordinary thermometer, is when somebody comes in, then the thermometer and that person have to be in the same room, strangely enough, for 23 minutes. They say 30, they're just being safe, but 23 minutes so that all of the circulations can come to rest and reach their stable position in the environment in which you and that thermometer are, like somebody's practice or somewhere else, right? So you see, that works even in the very physical, simple world, so that you get a good reading of what's going on. So have the patience and enjoy. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again for the next one, another surprise coming soon.